Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Human Design Talks. Today I'm with Adrienne, 1-3 manifestor, ego manifestor, and I am Bar from Israel, a 6-2 emotional manifestor. And Adrienne and me, we share one channel, which is very dominant channel on Human Design Body Graph. That often can be misinterpreted, or you can have some troubles with people having the 2145. This is the channel of materialism, the money line going from the ego to the throat center. It's a tribal channel. It is the voice of the tribe. It has the voice of I have or I don't have. Actually, it's the only voice that the tribe have going to the throat. We know, if you know the circuit in Human Design, you see that you have going to the throat the collective circuit and various channels and gates, and you have the individual circuit going to the throat, which is where we express ourselves, where we are manifesting through actions and words. But the tribe has only the 4521, which is very important because the tribe is a big part of our life. Without the tribe, we could not live. It's the mother, it's the father, it's money, it's food, it's family. We could not be only individual and collective. Otherwise, we would not be here. Yeah, so hello and welcome. And I will really be interested to hear what is your introduction to 2145, like the first impulse that comes to you when I say those words.
Okay, well, thanks first for having me on your show, Bar. I've admired you for years, and I'm really excited about being able to be here to talk about my one and only channel. So it's really interesting because I know people who have this as a part of their design, but literally this is my only channel, and which implies a lot of things. One, I have 7 open centers. So for me, learning about this channel was extraordinarily important for me to be able to reconcile with all of my openness. And we know that there's these major themes with this particular channel. One of the themes is education and support, and being able to, give something to the tribe in terms of knowledge on how to survive. Mm-hmm. And this particular channel, of course, is very material. And I've actually started calling myself a material girl, because I also have there's several, material gates, but the 48 is called the Black Magician. And that's my son, my personality son. And so I had to really start to understand that a lot of what I'm here to experience has to do with this material plane, and that I can't run away from it. So for me, when I think about the money line, a lot of people hear the money line and they think, oh, this person either has to have a lot of money, or I tend to see it more as a for me, especially because it's connected to the will center or the ego center. And the thematic of that center is never about one person, even though it looks like it. If you look at the gates, it's the egoist, but it's really a tribal center. Even there's only one gate inside of that center that is not tribal, if you look at it. So for me, it's all about me and we. So what's in it for me that can also benefit others. And it's really interesting because I'm thinking about it right now, but the way that I have been living it feels a little bit different. So I don't necessarily go in with such calculation, like, is this going to benefit me and other people? But it ends up being that way, especially when I'm adhering kind of to my strategy. And I would like to say listening to my authority, but I think that came a little bit later, but really not allowing myself to be initiated and pulled out of my own initiating. I do allow myself to be initiated by other manifestors, though. Hey, so that's why I'm here. And if it feels right, only if it feels right. So I think that for me, that particular channel has also brought into my life a generosity that I may not have been able to tap into previously. So we know, like, you know, the separate gates, you know, the 45 that I have, and it's like the gate of the queen or the king, and the 21 is very much so about control, but it is, when you start to exhibit it more beautifully, it's about, it can be about delegation and actually recognizing that I don't have to have it for myself. I have to have access to it. So, you know what I mean? Like, it really spreads some of the responsibility of having around, what if instead of having it for myself, I just simply have access to it. And that's the 4521 is in a lot of ways about being in a position of having access, you know, and that's what happens when you're in a tribe. You get access to resources, and resources are not just material. These are knowledge resources and inclusion. There's a lot more to it. And as you mentioned before, having a voice. I don't want to go too far into the weeds, but when you start to study group dynamics, well, the 4521 doesn't actually have as much of a place in small group dynamics. But when you get to large group dynamics, that is the voice of the tribe. So the person who it embodies this particular energy, or, you know, if you have two people who are separately creating it, you have to understand it's a bit of a trick. They call it the money line. It looks really seductive, but in reality, this is the line of a servant. This is a line of a servant. You are serving your kingdom, your queendom. You are serving the people, and you're serving as their mouthpiece. So for me, one of the biggest things is I have to be, I am very selective about what groups I associate myself with.
Wow, you said so much. This is so beautiful. And because it's your only channel, you see how it's like, this is transmission. It goes one way. It's the ego going to the throat. As I have other definitions, I also have the emotional channel, which makes everything a bit softer, or like deep or wavy, like this. So thank you for that. Let's get into it, because it's a beautiful introduction. I guess we touched so many subjects that on each one I'm very interested to touch. Support, that thing of support and resource. And when we look at the mechanics, and in my perspective, it's having the capacity, intelligence capacity, to gather details about needs. You need this, the other one needs this, but we have only this, but next week we will have this. So in a way, in my heart and my body, I'm collecting emotional, physical, mental, spiritual needs of people, and waiting until I have something to offer. Like, how can I gather? Because when we look at the 2145, it knows what we have and what we don't have, because it's constantly checking the book. We have it, we don't have it. How much we have it? We have energy, we don't have energy. It's only about that discussion. And sometimes the 21 comes and say, guys, it's good that you want a new car, a new house, or a new project, but look, we're tired because last week we don't have the money because we spent it on that vacation. So we must take care of the tribe and know what we have and what we don't have. So maybe we need another job. Maybe we need to spend less money next month. This is how it organizes. And we need that, because when he speaks about money, it's really not about, and we had a talk like this, I think 1 year before, where we said it's really not about the material thing as the energy of it. You have, for example, the currency of your energy, your body. So how much you handle well the currency of your body, how much you take in and how much you receive, and give. how much you how much you handle well the currency of relationship, how many people in your life, how much you spend time on them, what they give to you. And then we go to food and body care and business. So when I say 2145, it's management of time and energy, which is equal then to money and resources. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you, I think this is something that you try to say about generosity. It is not only about, okay, I have this $20 bill, or, you know, whatever, this amount in the bank. It's how do I really manage give and take, how much I cut when it's not give and take, how much I'm aware of my energy, of my currency. Yeah. So money,
Mhm.
it's an invitation to look at currency, at energy. It's a big invitation to say, hey, everything can be money. Money, it's really not about that bill, because those numbers in the bank, you know, one day we can all wake up and say they don't exist. And it's true. Yeah. But relationship,
Yeah.
your own energy, when you're tired, when I am tired, it's very easy to see. You just fall asleep, it's gone. Yeah. So for me,
Yeah.
talking about the 2145 and money, it's really about that exchange of energy, understanding currency, understanding energy. And whenever I hear people talking about money as money, I'm like, we have to go out of that box. We have to stop believing that this is a material thing only. It is directly connected
Mhm.
to your values, and we see that, to your values, to your connection with your relationship, to your higher purpose, to your patience. It's connected to your sex life, you know, how much passion you have, how much, from where you take your education from. I'm keynoting all, you know, all the channels in the circuit. So my advice to it is money, it's not only money. And I'm asking and begging from people to change the vocabulary, to change the vocabulary. You know, why do I don't have enough income? What is the mindset that I'm carrying? How do I behave in my life? What is the currency? How do I live? Actually, if I take money out, how do I really live? So maybe you have something to say about that,
Yeah.
because I know we are touching
Well,
the same
let
thing,
me,
yeah?
so money has become super duper, like you are talking my language, because it has become something that I'm extraordinarily interested in, at how money works. And you were talking about tuning into the currency. So it's really interesting. I had approached it from a mindset work, and I had to really start to understand that before I can do mindset work, or in concurrence with doing mindset work, I need to do some body work. I think that a lot of people are running their bodies at a deficit of currency, right? We are not running our bodies properly, and then we want to actually produce in the material world. And there is a frequency disparity between your body and your mind. And let me tell you, if your mind is less than 10% of your experience, it's really more like 3 to 5% of your actual lived experience is your conscious mind. Everything else is happening in your subconscious and in your body. So for me, number one, I had to admit something that I had not admitted before. And literally I had to get 7 years into deconditioning, damn near, before I really started to acknowledge the fact that I was not carrying the right body chemistry. You are not sustainable if your body chemistry is, not proper to yourself. Now, here's the thing. I'm a cross of tension on, and I don't want to go too far in the weeds, but on the design side, I have the 39 and the 38. I have an adrenalized body. So there is an amount of tension. There's an amount of dynamism in my body. I move, right? I'm a mover. However, I was walking around with a body that was filled with cortisol and adrenaline, and actually driving my cells into poverty. My cells were starving, but I am, carrying only the energy of the money line, which puts you in debt. What actually made me go into bankruptcy in the real world. So understanding that there is a correlation between what's going on with your body. Are you breathing enough? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you moving enough? And this is simply about taking care of the vehicle. Literally, you cannot be a steward for money if you're not a steward for your body. The reason being, you'll die. You know, what does it make? How does it make sense for you to be rich with currency, you know, dollars, if you have poor health? So literally, you don't get to reconcile the two of them. So starting off with that was understanding that my health and my body were my wealth. This thing carries me around and gets me to all the activities that can actually make money and create material abundance in my world. And I think that was for me one of the major breakthroughs of this particular line. When you talk about what I have, do you have energy? Because as a person who my only motor is the heart center, I ran myself as though I did have a sacral, like I had, or that I had even other motors. I have this one motor, which means my energy ebbs and flows in a different way than is typically, I guess, acceptable, or, you know, in the homogenized world, what everybody expects you. People go to work every day. I don't work every day. I can't. I refuse to, because when I was doing it, I was disrespecting my body. So coming into a place of respect for the body, and then really starting to understand that respect for the body actually translates into the mindset shift that I really needed, which was respect for energy, which you started this part of the conversation with. The respect of the energy. What energy do I actually have? So then I can commit properly, right? When I show up now, I show up all the way. Like you're getting all of Adrienne today. You're not getting what used to show up at work when I was going to work every day, which was like 50% of Adrienne, or sometimes 20 or 30%, where I couldn't actually be there. And in a lot of ways, that difference between what's happening in the mind and what's happening in the body, that's the resistance that you experience on the inside. This is why you can't have, money is not coming. Money doesn't want to come to places where it doesn't feel like it's going to be safely taken care of. So you have to be a safe space, and to be in a safe space first starts with being a safe space for your own energy.
Wow. I am making this recording for myself. I guess I needed to hear it again and again. Yeah, you're such a good teacher. I remember 2 years ago, 1 year ago, we spoke, and I remember the initiation that I felt from, because it's not my only channel. So I have other 2 channels, and I often fall into what you're saying, working too much, the ego, not resting enough, not knowing how to take care of my body. And I have those, you know, months or weeks when there is a lot of abundance and clients, and I'm like, why I cannot take care of it? Like, why I cannot hold it for a long time? And it always brings me back to question, like, well, do you sleep enough? Like, do you eat enough? Do you have a good relationship? And then I come back to myself and I say, no, the answer is no. Is that the food is not balanced, and the sleep is not balanced, the physical exercise is not balanced, the emotional. And I say, okay, so it's not a wonder that you cannot keep up, you know, the commitment, because there is not enough balance in the system, and I have a bit of relief and I come back to basics. So when we talk about the ego, we speak about support. This is the main need and support. Those are the main keynotes when we speak about the emotional circuit. And when I say support, when we speak about the 2145, as Adrienne said, is really about resources and education. It's asking the other as well, like, what do you have and what you don't have? Like, what do you lose and what do you win? And educating oneself and others of, like, for example, in my experience, it's educating about human design. It's like, how well do you know your body? How well do you know your mind? Like, I'm in this particular state in my life. It can be something else, you know, in the next years. I'm educating about awareness, physical awareness, mental awareness, emotional awareness, awareness that relates to human design. This is how I support my tribe. Yeah, to understand what do we have and what we don't have, and which path it's possible to choose, and where am I leading, where am I leading with my speech. And when it comes to family thing, around my family and friends, I am supporting by taking my voice out and say like, stop, or this needs to be different, or no more for that. So it's a very powerful voice that sometimes can be interpreted as violence if it's not well, expressed in the throat, because the 21 together with the 45 is strong. It's okay, enough bullshit. It's this killer moment when you say like, okay, it's enough talking, you're enough, this is okay, let's move on. So the question that I'm raising here is like, support is also something that maybe sometimes will need a certain not aggression, but clarity and boundaries, and in order to protect. Because when we say support, we support the tribe, we support our family, we support our clients, we support the group where we study. It's always about taking care for the survival of the tribe. And sometimes, yes, you go to war in order to protect the tribe. So 2145, at the beginning when I start to awake that voice within me, I was afraid, I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, what is this? Like, why do you speak like that? Maybe if I would met you like a few years ago, I would say like, chill out, girl, no? But no, this is the voice of 2145. They cut through, they bite through. It's not always so high, like this is more than 3740, it can be in the 50, 59, 6. It's more this thing of emotional together bonding. 2145 would not be always pleasant. And I needed to learn how to use that force. And surprisingly, sometimes people told me it's not so bad. I was sure, like I killed somebody. And people told me, no, you were very clear. And I learned to say, okay, actually I have good intentions. I'm trying to protect here. And I start to work with that, throat center and with the volume of it and the use of words, because it is a leadership channel. It is leading, it is pushing, it is saying, no, this is the boundary, enough is enough, like you're not gonna get this, or look what we have. It's also a celebration. Yes, this is all we have, we earned it with respect and effort. Not to be afraid from that royalty,
Yeah. What I would like to say about that is, one slight adjustment. You said it's a leadership channel, and this is one of the things I express to people when I talk to them about the 45, especially. It's a rulership channel. So leadership and rulership are different in some subtle ways, and I find that this particular that energy of rulership is by authority of being the person that is, like you said, protecting and describing the boundaries of what it is protecting. Mm-hmm. So what I find, that 2145 is about territory to a certain degree. And territory, like if you start to look at like business and group dynamics in larger groups, this is called the project management channel. And it is the voice of the group, but it has the ultimate decision. So it is, taking in and collecting all of this information about the needs of the project or what needs to happen. And it also is what prevents so I used to be a project manager, and we would call it scope creep. Scope creep is where you have a project, you've defined what you want to get done, and then whoever you're doing the project for starts to give you more and more requirements, and all of a sudden your project gets bloated. It's way too big, and your resources again are spread too thin. So it's about protecting. It is about boundaries in a lot of ways. This is about boundaries, about who gets to have access to these resources. And in a lot of ways, it's about respect. I have the 45 in my conscious moon. And listen, I didn't realize, because you were talking about the strength. first of all, I grew up the first half of my life in just kind of drenched in a lot of ways, not just disrespect, but where people, with a lot of defined egos. My whole family, it was ridiculous. Like, I didn't even understand that there were people who with undefined egos. I didn't know human design at the time, but the feeling, it was a really different feeling when I went to school and I was around other kinds of people, and it was just weird because I came from a family with both sisters, both parents, everybody, just all these defined egos. And it wasn't necessarily that there was disrespect, it was just everybody was gonna have it their way, right? You know, everybody is having it their way. And what I've started to learn about this particular boundary type of situation is we don't want to be disrespected. And especially for me, it's in my conscious moon, and literally I can feel an emotional response. I can feel my body chemistry change if I'm feeling disrespected. Now, I've had to grow over the years about what is disrespect versus what's just, you know, potential, you know, innocent ignorance, somebody just doesn't know. And then when it's turning into something else. Mm-hmm. And I can give you an example, because let me tell you what happened. So, you know, and you of course are in my community, the Mana Sisters Global community. And I went to the events tab, and there was somebody who scheduled one event per month for the next 6 months. Never talked to me. I don't know this person. And that's the other thing about resources. I have to vet resources. You can't talk to my people if I don't know that what you're going to tell them is actually good. Mm-hmm. I am so protective of people's minds. And it could be that, you know, maybe it's an overstepping, but hallelujah, that's my only channel. This is what I do, you know. And so I understand now, like, exactly the mechanics of what I was doing. And it has allowed me to do it more gracefully, right? So I don't have to be as much of the like 300-pound gorilla. Like, I can be gentle and nice and sweet, or as harsh as I need to be, right? Because that's really, for me, when I think about the gate 21, that's like the heart muscle, but like that's the right hand of the king. This is the person that executes the king's orders, right? Or the queen's orders. And the 21 has to learn how to execute control just enough, right? Yeah. So not an over response, not an under response. So that's literally a keynote in my chart, like knowing exactly how much force to use in every situation. There's been times where I set off an atomic bomb. And then there are other times when it's just a gentle tap, like, hey, excuse me. And then, you know, but I'm learning. That's, you know, that is the gentleness of having my resources returned to me. And I keep coming back to strategy because when I really, like, I committed myself to learning how to show up as a manifester, it returned so much of my energy back to me. And therefore now I wield my energy more responsibly because I have it. It's mine. Like, yeah. So.
Wow. Beautiful. I love your take on it. Not forgetting it's a learning process. Yeah. Not forgetting that it's something to grow into. Yeah. So talking about energy, we're going to wrap it up and give some personal advices, reminding you and us that it's all about inner authority and strategy. So whatever advice or any tip that we give is for you to try and to test and to see if it works or not. It's only from our personal experience. We're not we're not your inner authority. So it's out of experience and it's meant for you to test through the body, although it's a mental knowledge. So my tips for 2145, if you work, if you're not independent, so I always recommend to be independent if you can. So because you're the boss of your energy. And if it's not part of your life circumstances, make sure that you're in a position where you do have enough control, when you do have enough place to say. Because to be like just a co-worker, someone underneath, you know, is something that is very hard for a 2145. It needs to be in charge actually your force, your talent, your beauty is going out when you are either responsible of everything together with others that are, of course, supporting you, and you have like different positions. Either you're in a position that you do have entire responsibility for that department or for that job, because it needs responsibility. Otherwise it's like, why shall I do something? I need to have my own kingdom. So see if that you have the feeling that you own a kingdom. And it comes back also to your room, to your house, to your body. It's I think I wrote about it like my body, my kingdom. So make sure that
Yeah.
you know where is your kingdom and where you are the king or the queen. And it's not a bad thing to say, you know, I want to be served, or I'm serving myself as a king or a queen. And it's for the benefits of the others, because when the king or the queen are happy, they're actually very generous, and they're very generous. Yes, like the fact that I, you know, put so much content online is just because when in times when I feel good with myself and generous and happy, I'm like, I just want to give it away, you know, and I don't care because I share it freely.
Mm-hmm.
And another tip that we talked about is taking care for your own resources, understanding what are your resources before you take care of them. What are resources? We speak about emotional resources, physical resources, spiritual resources, mental resources, everything that you need to live, it's your resources. Even take a list and ask yourself questions. And if you don't manage to do that, you're welcome to reach to one of us in person, and we will have we'll help you and support you to actually map your life and see where things are leaking out. What else? What else can I say? Remember that money is not for you, for as an individual, as Adrienne said at the beginning. If you want to earn money for the sake of having a better car, it's not going to work like that. It's having money in order to support others, in order to be there, something that will bring value to people. Like they go to sleep and they think about it, because it's money and it's beautiful. It's a message for everybody, not only people with the money line, is that money is not for oneself. It's for a group. It's for a business. It's for a collective. It's meant to be shared. We, as an individual, if you think about it for a moment, we can live from very little, like a bit of rice, you know, like a roof over your head. Even internet is not necessary. The physical body doesn't need much. So those are my 3 tips. Yeah. What are yours?
First of all, I love what you said about the physical body doesn't need very much. You know, the reality is, so just recently I deep dived into kind of the material way and really what that is about, because I'm like, I'm a material girl. I need to really understand this life, right? I'm a 1-3, like this is a part of my life. And you said something really important. First of all, money is not made in isolation. It's not made alone, typically. You know, even if you are a solopreneur, you need a customer. So your fellow man, and this I get from my daughter, she's a projector and I love her. She said, your fellow man is the gatekeeper to money. And if we think back how we were, you know, 100,000 years ago, maybe humans, even hundreds of years ago, where more and more people were hunters and gatherers, and the only, you know, barrier between you and food was your ability to hunt that food or your ability to gather. And this is perfect for talking about the 45-21, the hunting and the gathering, right? But what we're doing is, instead of having, you know, you have to wait for the tree to be in bloom so the berries are ripe and then you can get those berries and eat them. What you're actually doing is waiting for your fellow human who has that money in their hand to give it to you based on some value you represent to them. And what I've learned, another thing is, I don't necessarily judge how people make money anymore. I used to be very judgmental about how people could make money until I became friends with people who made money in some very, how should I put this? Some very non-traditional ways. As a matter of fact, human design was actually brought to us by a guy who made money from a voice. So listen, you can make money from anything. And so I stopped judging about how people make money, understanding that value delivered is always in the eye of the person who's who has the money to exchange. So when you deliver value, when you're talking about the needs of others, being sensitive to the needs of others in terms of, you know, practical ways of getting them to take care of themselves materially. I mean, this is an excellent place for me because my mind is tuned for this, right? I'm built for this. But this is just the way of money. Money doesn't happen in isolation. And it is about delivering something to your fellow person. The other thing is, of course, we're talking about the heart center, the ego center, worth and value. You cannot, you talked about giving certain things away for free. If I'm going to tell you anything, yes, you can give away the what, the who, what, and where, give that away for free. The how is your own secret sauce. You can even possibly give out the whole recipe, but it's not going to taste the same. And one of the very last things is, one of my strategies is I want to help people not need me. So whatever pathway I got to get to that, because as a manifester, really, I want to not have to do anything, especially as an ego man. I don't want to do anything, actually. I would like to be on vacation. So a lot of times I'm doing something to relieve myself of this feeling that there's some people out there that need something. So for me, that's tapping into passion. And that's what gets me up in the morning and makes me want to go and work on my business. It makes me want to do those things that people say, well, you know, my energy is waning. Wow, I started taking care of my energy. Now my energy is up. I can work on my business every day. Do I do it all day, every day? No. I've drawn boundaries, you know, and so these boundaries we talked about, I've drawn boundaries. So what I would say to you is, if you're out there and you're wondering how to make money, first off, take care of your body, draw some boundaries around your energy. Don't be afraid to be generously giving away the what and the who for free. And it's okay to reserve a little bit for yourself. That is something, that secret sauce behind a wall that you give to people who are willing to contribute more. So yeah.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm looking forward to hear this conversation again because I love it. I love it so. Thank you for your time and energy. Thank you for being here, and I hope it will benefit other people. It benefited me for sure. I love your energy. Thank you.
Me too. Listen, thank you so much. And it's always a pleasure to be able to connect with you, because you called me a great teacher or a good teacher, and I received that compliment. But that is absolutely because you're a reflection of that. Like, I really admire your style and the evolution of bar, because I feel like bar has become a lot more hardcore.
Yeah, true.
Loving it.
Thank you.